Hi, welcome to It's Beyond Me podcast. I'm your host, Freddie T.
And your co-host Drift Nasty.
Do you believe that this institution that we call marriage or relationship is being respected in this modern day life?
Because I tend to feel like a lot of people kind of put it on the back burner, like it's not as important as I think that it should be. We've only been married, we got married last year in 2021, and it's been up and down, I would say, but more so ups. And I think it's because it's simple. I think that it's kind of a simple, self explanatory kind of thing. We respect each other, and it took learning each other and what each one of us expected from each other. And when you learn those kind of things, all you have to do is respect it, and I think that it goes a lot smoother than a lot of people expect. Kind of, I don't think that people should look at it more so of like a job. It's just having somebody for a life partner, somebody to go through life with. And I think it'll be a lot simpler and more accepting if people thought of it that way instead.
Well, to me, it's a marriage is only as strong as what you put in.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the marriage certificate is just really a piece of paper. You are the one who puts the importance to it.
Yeah.
I mean, some people want to say they're married, but still want to have that freedom and that be walking around doing whatever they want to do, but they don't want to respect their marriage. You got to respect it in order for other people to respect it, because there's always going to be that one person out there who's just not going to respect anything.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to say, hey, this is me, I'm married, these are my boundaries, this is what's going on, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, misery likes company, and the miserable are gonna come in there and try to ruin what you got. And it's not every day is not gonna be a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day is not gonna be peaches and roses and all that good stuff. At the end of the day, you guys are gonna have your hard times or your good times. I was always taught that marriage is a work in progress, and
it's about making the good times better, like
yep.
outweighing
Yep.
the tough times.
Because I think the mistake people think is they think that, oh, you get married and you have this whole Disney situation where everything is just great and peachy and you guys never get into arguments and you guys never see hard times. No, you're gonna have some good times, you're gonna have some bad times, and that's what really makes you appreciate all the good times is some of the bad times that you guys have, some of the situations you guys will arise between the two of y'all. Because it's all easy when you guys are dating because you guys don't have to see each other every day. When I piss her off in the morning, she's got to see me again. You know what I mean? It's like I wake up and I know I didn't piss her ass off, and I'm like, hey babe, and she just looks at me like, gosh.
And it goes both ways.
And it goes,
I get under his skin.
But
Fun fact, true story. So I like to play around too much, I guess people could say. He would say, for sure. So I play around too much. I don't know, I just like to laugh or whatever, and I try to make him laugh, and I ruffle his feathers. And so I always make this joke about a Sancho, right? There is no Sancho, for those of you who know what that is. But so I joke around about a Sancho, and then he called me. He was supposed to work a double on Christmas Day yesterday. And then he calls me and he tells me, oh, I'm just riding around on my way home. And so I messed with him. I was like, I didn't think he was actually coming home. So I just messed with him. I was like, oh, well, no, you can't go home. You better not come home. He says, why not? I say, because I might be busy. Like, I might have company. And he was like, oh, okay. And he lied. He tells me he's going to go pick up his coworker from, he was like, no, I'm just riding around to go pick up my coworker. And then I got to go back to work. And so I hear him riding around for a little bit. I believed him, and then all of a sudden I hear his footsteps in the snow. So I was like, where are you at? He says, oh, I'm going up to this man's house because he's taking forever to come outside. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm just sitting here minding my own business, totally not with any company. It was all a joke. And then all of a sudden I hear him running up the stairs. And those are the kind of things, like, to me that makes it fun, it's just like not being so serious all the time. And so I like to do things like that. I know that it makes him laugh eventually. He's in his feelings for sure in the moment. He act like he ain't, but it is funny after a while.
I told her straight up one day she gonna turn her brother into a serial killer for real. I'm like, but it's just being able to have that 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 person that you can joke around with like that, and y'all know your guys' limits and just laugh, and also being able to brush certain things off because you know what, there are some times where you're down and that person needs to be there to lift you,
Hmm.
and that's the difference. Before I'll be down and I'd have to speak to my brothers and sisters and my mom or somebody for that pickup, but like when I'm not really feeling like doing something or I don't have the energy, she picks me up. She's like, "Oh no, you can do it. Oh, let's take our time or let's do this," and gives me a positive mind frame when I don't have the positive bone that day. When I'm just feeling negative, she turns it around. And when she's feeling negative,
He does the
I
same thing.
I do the same thing. It's just it's a people say it's a 50-50. I feel it's 100-100. You all put in the same amount of energy. It's just at different times.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you hear a lot of people say, well, in a relationship, everybody has to do this. Everybody knows their role. There is no such thing as role. Everybody plays their part. That's the truth of the matter.
Given the situation, because circumstances change every second,
Yeah.
every day, and then you have to change your quote unquote role according to what needs to happen for y'all's thing to function, basically.
Because at the end of the day, I hear people say, oh, how can you guys? I can already hear it right now. There's a lot of skeptical people talking about, oh, how can you guys talk this? You guys have only been married over a year. Well, we're telling you the struggles of a newly married couple. We're telling you what we had to get used to. We had to get used to seeing each other every single day. We had to get used to the day after you guys piss each other off. We had to get used to. Hell, I really had to get used to waking up to somebody next to me
Yeah.
because honestly, it's like it gets to have a person right next to you every day. Have a person there when you're taking a nap, when you wake up. It's
Who
different.
doesn't leave,
Who doesn't
because
leave?
I've been with exes and things where we lived together, and then yeah, y'all are together and everything. But I mean, if somebody gets frustrated or mad, then they can leave and go somewhere for however long and then come back. But it's not like that when you're married. It's
When
just a constant thing.
the thing people forget is when you get married, this is a contract. This is I'm in it for the long run. I'm not in it. I'm not just not in it for the good days. I'm in it for the good and the bad. And that's what I told my wife when we got married. We straight up
Hmm.
said, we in this together.
I'm a little more old fashioned. I don't know. My beliefs, I believe, are not in line with most people today, but I just don't really believe in divorce. I think that if you really put your all into somebody, that person like is a lifetime commitment. There's not much. I just don't believe in giving up, if that makes sense. So I just don't believe in divorce. Um, I personally don't believe in the woman being the breadwinner situation. That's a little weird to me. Um, just because my dad was always the provider in our family and stuff like that. My grandfather's providers for their family. So I kind of have that kind of view on it also. So it's kind of weird when all these women are like, oh, I want to go out and make more money, and specifically want to make money more than their man. And then they turn around and just sit there and talk trash about how they make more than their man. Well, then what was the point? It's a little different in my brain than other people nowadays.
It's like I tell her, I was like, what I make is for both of us. It doesn't. There's no such thing as, oh, this is my money. No, it's both of our money. Because at the end of the day, I'll be for real. In order for me to be energized and be ready to go to work every single day,
I gotta cook
she
for him.
gotta cook for me. She
Gotta
got
wash his
wash
clothes
my
so he's got something
clothes.
to wear.
She gets me laughing, keeps me positive, and everything. So it's like we in this together because at the end of the day, I know if I'm depressed and I'm not gonna be working as hard as I do, and it gives me a reason to work. At the end of the day, we set goals together as a team so that we can do things together. It's not
Mhm.
like the problem is the problem I see with a lot of people is that people say, "Well, I do this for me. What do you bring to the table?" No, no, no. We do this for together because when we got married, this was a contractual agreement that we're coming together to make something. And this thing we're making is a marriage. So that's how I always view it. Some people might view it differently, but nobody's perfect.
It works for us.
Yeah.
Some people out there, it'll probably work for you too. And I mean, I think the biggest thing that we've had to work on was our communication because I know that I find it difficult to find the right words sometimes to communicate, and I could be a little difficult, I feel. But as long as, and there's things like that bothered me when we first got married and stuff like that. So I had to, you had to the first step is communication to make a change. If you want to make change to make something work, then you have to speak with your partner. Your partner has to
Yeah.
understand and speak it back. Like
Closed
there has
mouths
to
don't
be,
get fed. At the end of the day,
yeah,
if something's bothering you, bring it up. Or else if you don't bring it up, it'll never change. And at the end
yeah.
of the day, my number one tip to every guy is cut the X's out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Take
there's no such thing as having exes for friends. It's always been my little motto that when you break up with a guy, you break up with his family too. Like there should be no connections between you or girl, whatever. There should be no connections whatsoever between the two of you to where y'all link back up in the future or there's any, because the feelings have got to die down, and there's no way to do it unless you just cut them out completely.
and I'm being real. I'm from a small town where everybody knows everybody's business. And
Mm.
I'll be for real to you. It may sound hard to a lot of people, but at the end of the day, you only let people know what you let them know. So at the end of the day, you don't have to communicate with your exes. You don't have to see them everywhere. In a small town like this, where I live, honestly, you can avoid everybody
Yeah, I mean, because it builds up
because it
insecurities.
yes.
Honestly, if y'all are having issues and then you go run to somebody who you used to be with for advice on what to do, it's gonna bring up insecurities in your partner. Obviously.
Number one, number two, it also creates a big situation because at the end of the day, I'll be real. A majority of girls they don't run to their home girl per se or home boy. And the reason I say home boy is because girls tend to think that, oh, he's just my friend. Nah, partner, he's just the one who's waiting to slide in when I mess up. That's all that comes down to. That's the way I
That
view it.
is
I
his
don't know.
motto.
That's my motto, and I stand by it. People might say I'm wrong and I'm being biased. Okay, that's you. Whatever whatever works for you. But in my case, and what I know, majority of the time, I'll put it like this: the way I was brought up, I was told that guys are friends with girls. Yes, that I believe that. There's some girls who they've never viewed any other way. You just view them as a friend. That's about 10% out of the 100% of friends you have. Then the rest of them, you're just really a dick in a glass, waiting for that moment that she wants to use you. So at the end of the day, I truly believe that the majority of guys, when they're friends with a female, is because they have some type of feelings for them. Be they sexual, mental, whatever, but they have some type of feelings for them. And they're more than just friends. Because they're the same dudes that tell you, oh, he's nothing, girl. You should leave him. Mm-hmm.
And it's not only the guy friends.
The
Stop
girlfriends are
you
the
there.
girl the
And
girls are the
because I
same
had a
way.
homegirl and it was the same situation. From the time that we got together, it was just straight salt. Like,
And I ain't gonna lie, she was the supreme hater.
yeah, like it was straight salt. Like she wasn't happy for me at all when we got together. She had every excuse in the book of why I shouldn't be talking to him, blah blah blah. After we got married, it was like she looked for every kind of thing,
And
any little thing to try to throw in some kind of doubt and make it seem like that marriage isn't like I said, like it's just not that important kind of ordeal. She mostly was, I think, just jealous that I had to give my time away. Like, I'm not going to put my husband on the back burner to appease you. You know what I mean? It was just
And
very weird.
that happens because you know what? When I got married, a lot of my homeboys they were getting like, oh man, because they didn't have a wingman no more. They didn't have a homeboy to listen to all their problems anymore. They didn't have somebody to pick them up and do all this other stuff for them and do all these things, errands or whatever. People are selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And when change happens, a lot of people don't like it. So a lot of people are used to having that third wheel homeboy who's just there when they're bored, who can listen to all their problems, who can be their alibi when they need to go somewhere. You know, and that's what that one single homeboy or homegirl is to them.
And
Is
she wasn't even single; she was married.
you see, and at the end of the day, it just always works that way. It doesn't matter who you are, but and that's where I look at people and I say, you know, the difference is those friends made me realize what I don't want my marriage to be
Yeah.
like. Because I was like, if there's communication and it's open, you have a better chance of getting over anything. And honestly, I look at a lot of people like, you know, we're not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I damn well know
Nobody
I'm not
is.
perfect.
Nobody
She's
is.
not perfect, but you know, this is our version of perfect that we like.
It
We
works
we
for
work
us.
we it works for us, and we're working through everything day by day. It's all a step by step.
Another good thing too is that we are transparent about a lot of things. When we're not, then we run into issues and we learn from that. So it's just about just being open and talking about anything and everything. It doesn't matter how hard the situation is, how they're gonna feel about it. You know, y'all gonna work through that together. That's the point of the conversation, but it builds trust and it makes you stronger. My dad gave us some word of advice when we first got married. He told us, he said, just don't leave any room for doubt.
Uh-huh.
And that's a big thing.
And
Cause
my mom and my aunt told me the same thing. They said, don't bring other people into your relationship, and always don't leave room for doubt. Because the minute you leave the outside world to decide what's going on with your relationship, it'll fall apart.
yeah.
So always have control in that the two of y'all, this is your relationship, not anybody else's.
But I just don't understand why people wouldn't want that. You know, most of the people today, be it men or women, don't want to be married. They don't want to build with somebody or do those kind of things, like develop a meaningful lifelong relationship with somebody. I don't know why that wouldn't appeal to people.
It's weird because every time you speak to anybody and you ask them, hey, what's the divorce rate? People are like, do you know, like 50% or 60% of marriages end in divorce? And I'm like, yeah, but you know, technically, everybody could die early in the morning. You know, it's a miracle to wake up every day breathing.
Yeah.
So, does that mean I'm going to be scared to go and make this leap of getting married?
My
I hear all the excuses of why people don't want to get married or aren't in a long term relationship because they feel like, oh, I don't want to be obligated to a person like that. Or you hear the same people you hear sing about, oh, I don't want to be obligated to a person like this, are the same people who go home and are in a relationship, or the same people who tell you they're garbage are the ones who go home and are sad and are depressed and want to be in a relationship.
hmm
But the security blanket is acting like they don't care about it when deep inside everybody wants to be with somebody.
yeah,
I'm sorry, by the time I got married, I was tired of the single life.
and I hadn't been single very long, but
I've been rocking the single life on and off for a couple of years, and it got to a point where it's just the same old crap over and over, and you get to a
mm,
point where you're just like, you know what, no offense to people, but what what exactly am I doing? Am I spinning wheels? And then the other problem that I found, and it was funny because when me and my wife met, it was me doing something that I normally don't do. Because honestly, to everybody, like there's a point where in life where you kind of seem to date the same type of people over and over.
yeah,
It's like you have a type. Whether you say you don't, you have a type.
it's a subconscious thing.
Subconsciously, you have a type. Everybody always says, oh no, I don't have a type. I'm not that person. Yes, you are. You are that person. It kind of sucks to say, but if you look, I tell any girl or any guy, write down all your exes on a piece of paper. Write down what you liked about each and every one of them
And what you hated.
and what you hated. And if you circle it, you'll notice they might be out of 7 things, 5 of them are the same on all of them. The only thing that might change on some of them is hairstyle.
Yeah.
I'm just being truthful to
Some
everybody.
physical attributes,
Some of them is
but the
physical
character
attributes,
is
but the
generally the
characters
same.
is the same damn character. I mean, I was stuck on the whole. I'll be honest to a lot of people. It got to a point where it kind of like they all had the same type of baggage. I mean, I had one tell me, and to this day, I'll tell it to her. A girl told me I bring a lot to the table. What do you bring? And I'm sitting there looking at her like, you got a whole bunch of kids and 2 baby daddies.
Brought a whole bunch of mouths to the table to feed. That's
Yeah,
what
I was
you
like,
did.
you bring a lot of luggage. I'm a carry on type of dude. I'm good. I'm sorry, but how do you bring more to the table than me? I was like, nothing beneficial.
And he brings more to the table than anybody that I've been with, because I also had a type, and my type liked to make illegitimate money and was going nowhere really fast. Didn't have like our own house. One of us, we did have a house for a little while, but for the most part, it was us bouncing around and living with other people, and it was just like, dude, I'm too grown to be doing stuff like that. So I thought, okay, well, I'll start looking a different direction too. I didn't want to just keep going in the same thugalicious direction.
It's just funny because it's like I wasn't even when me and her met. I wasn't even looking for a relationship.
Me neither.
Hell, for
So I had just got out of
the
one.
funniest part is I used to call her for advice with my other relationship.
Yes, he did.
And for the first few, and then my other relationship thought something was going on between me and her, but we were living in 2 different states at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then things happened, and I ended up saying, you know what, screw it, and I kicked that one to the curb and started concentrating on talking to her, and everything worked out, and lo and behold, we married.
Yeah.
And time will tell, but as far as I know, this is till the afterlife and above, and past that.
What you mean time will tell?
No, I'm
Time will
saying
tell.
time will tell, and as in how perfect this road is gonna be. But I, I
You hear
plan
this?
I plan that it's gonna be to
See,
the.
these are the things that you gotta work through.
Nah, what I was trying to say is, nothing is perfect, and only time can tell how rough the journey is gonna be and how perfect the journey is gonna be. But as long as both of you are willing to do it together, I feel you guys can get through anything.
Yeah. It
That's
just takes equal effort.
yeah.
And the same, you gotta be on the same page and have at least half of the same goals, or else it'll turn into another situation of where you're just sitting there spinning wheels. You're wanting to do one thing, he's wanting to do one thing, or she's wanting to do one thing, and it'll go nowhere. Like, or it'll divide y'all apart. So, I just think that to take away from this is just that I don't feel like people should treat marriage like it's taboo or something to be afraid of, a contractual job. You know what I mean? It's not a job. There's nothing that's going to change about your life in a negative way, I don't think, from getting married. It all comes down to who you choose to marry. Now, we have to keep this in
Mhm.
mind, too. It all comes down to your character selection. So you can't blame all because I mean my mom and dad got married or I mean divorced after I was already grown and everything, but they got divorced. They just fought all the time. I mean, they had good times, but for the most part, there was a lot of fighting and things, and it just eventually got between them. That didn't deter me from getting married just because they ended up divorced.
Put it like this: my parents did a few days ago would have been 48 years of them being married. They were together. They were together for 30 something years. I mean, I can't complain. To be honest with everybody, I saw my parents' marriage break down. I saw them divorce. I was older. I was 15, 16 when they separated, and I was in my 20s when they finally get divorce went through. And it didn't scare me from getting married. Honestly, to everybody, it actually let me know what I don't want to do in my marriage and what I feel a person should do in a marriage. And
I was actually nervous. I was nervous to get married. This was
it,
my first marriage, and so I was nervous to know. I guess it was more so of just like it's past traumas with relationships because it's like I didn't want to just repeat a pattern because a lot of pretty much all of the relationships ended with infidelities and things like that, and there's just certain things that I can't afford to put up with anymore. So I was nervous.
and I feel that's the biggest problem right now is like honestly to a lot of people. I feel like people are damaged
Yeah.
and
Because
they take
there's nothing sacred in a relationship anymore. Y'all
yeah.
bounce around, y'all partner hop like it ain't nobody's business.
People think it's cool to have bodies, and at the end of the day, people call it bodies, and they're like, "Oh, a woman has bodies." Men have bodies too. No
Yeah.
offense to anybody. All these people that think that women with high body counts, guys have high body counts too, and it's not cute when a guy has a high body count, and it's not cute when a girl has a high body count. At the end of the day, it's what you do and how you bounce back. The problem that's there is you got a lot of people who have this mentality and everybody wants to be the dude in the relationship. Everybody wants to be the dominant,
Calling the shots.
yeah, the dominant partner. But at the end of the day, like I always like to tell people when I laugh about it, I say, you gotta know when to be dominant, when to not to be. Even thugs gotta take a seat back and be soft in front of their girls. You know what I mean? You can't always be rough all the time. You gotta be. You gotta ease up. You gotta be a sweetheart once in a while.
Yeah.
Can't be.
Some romance. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what keeps things alive. Otherwise, it's just you build bitterness. But those are things that come down to your choices on the way that you want to handle things. It's really simple. I think it is simple to have an actual good and healthy relationship or marriage. It's just the same key things that we've already went over. It's really simple. I think people just overthink it and then it becomes this big scary monster, you know? So
Well, that's the debate for today. I mean, I said my part. She said her part.
we
And
want
then
to know what you think.
yes, we
So
want to know
comment and let us know what you feel on what we said today.
comment and like the video, please. Tell us where we can improve. And at the end of the day, it's been nice talking to y'all. This is the It's Beyond Me podcast. And I repeat, I'm your host, Freddie T.
And your co-host Drift Nasty, and we'll see you again next week.
Have a great day.